6-year-old Ricky Neve lived in Peterborough, England. On the morning of November 28, 1994, he left his home to go to school around 9 a.m. His mother still recalls he did not say goodbye to her that day and simply walked out the front door. Ricky never came home that day. The next day, his body was found in the woods nearby. It was clear he had been strangled. His school uniform was thrown in a bin. Rumors soon started to spread about how badly Ricky's mother, Ruth Neve, had been treating her son. She was tried for the crime in 1996, but she was cleared. She was, however, jailed for 7 years after pleading guilty to child neglect. Ruth was eventually released from prison in 2000 and started to endlessly campaign for the case to be reopened. And in June of 2015, that was exactly what happened. On February 17th of 2020, a 38-year-old man was charged in connection to the case. His name is James Watson. James was only 13 when Ricky's life was taken. Ricky's mother said she felt overwhelmed and numb. It hasn't sunk in yet. I am overwhelmed and in truth totally numb. This has always been about getting justice for my son Ricky. I'd like to thank Paul Fullwood and his team for their work and effort in getting us to this moment. The news has not sunk in yet. The courtesy and care shown to me by Mr. Fullwood and his colleagues has exceeded, by far, the expectations I had. Today's news is welcome, but it is only part of a much longer journey that still has some way to run. It would be inappropriate to comment further, but what I am looking forward to is a good night's sleep that has been lacking over many, many years. Cambridgeshire Assistant Chief Constable Paul Fullwood, who led the high-profile investigation, said, "The cold case review of who took Ricky's life was undertaken by the Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire, and Hertfordshire Major Crime Unit in 2014. We began reinvestigating the case in 2015, and following extensive investigative work, we have now been authorized by the Crown Prosecution Service to charge James Watson. During the trial in 2022, we learned that James Watson's DNA matched DNA found on Ricky's clothing. The jury reached a guilty verdict in April 2022. We don't know why Watson did what he did." Renee Pagel was a 41-year-old mother of 3 in 2006 and lived in Kent County, Michigan. She was a health and nursing instructor at the Kent Intermediate School District's Career Technical Center. She was busy recovering at her home. A few days earlier, she donated a kidney to a father of one of her students. On August 5, 2006, her father discovered her body in her home. Stab wounds were clearly visible. Suspicion fell on her husband, Mike Pagel. They were busy getting divorced at the time. Mike wrote in one of his journals how much he hated Renee. In the week before her life ended, Renee told her friends that if something were to happen to her, it was Mike. There was also no sign of forced entry or anything having been stolen. In April of 2005, Mike allegedly vandalized the car of one of Renee's friends. He said that he would make all of her friends pay. This unfortunately was not enough to convict Mike with anything, and the case soon grew cold. That was until 2018 when investigators decided to reopen the case. The investigators interviewed Mike again. Mike then made a statement that led the police to a weapon that was used to take Renee's life. That was enough to finally charge him. He was arrested on Thursday, February 6, 2020 by Michigan State Police in Bay City. He was then taken to Kent County. In October 2020, Mike Pagel was sentenced to 25 to 50 years in prison.
"I have greatly sinned, and I ask God to forgive me and give us all the strength to endure the consequences. Sarah, Joel, and Hannah, your mom loved you very much and would be very proud to see how well her children have grown. I regret that you all have to pay the consequences you don't deserve."
On July 17, 1968, 13-year-old Jackie Hart from Bergen County, New Jersey was walking home after band practice at her school. Practice finished at 9 p.m. At midnight, she still wasn't home yet, and her mother called the police. The next morning, her body was found in a wooded sliver along Goffle Creek. She was punched in the face and strangled with her flag sling. 9 months later, on April 8th of 1969, 18-year-old Irene Blasey's body was found in the Saddle River, also in Bergen County. She too was strangled. On July 14th, 1969, Denise Velasca, 15 years old, left her home to meet a friend. She never made it to her friend, and her body was found outside the Saddlebrook Cemetery. Denise was also strangled. This now meant that there were 3 cases of young girls being strangled in Bergen County within 12 months. A man by the name of Richard Cottingham was sentenced to life in prison when he was convicted of taking the lives of 9 people. While in prison, he claimed that he ended the lives of more than 100 women. 3 of those women were Jackie, Irene, and Denise. Police decided to follow up on the lead and came to the conclusion that he was telling the truth. If he was telling the truth about these 3 cases, it makes me wonder if he'll ever come forward about others as well. Cottingham is currently serving more than 200 years. He has been in custody since July